I'm Steve Rose. What sets us apart is that green is not just a buzzword like a lot of people use. Green is an operative word, and it really is easy to do. I'm going to share with you my secrets on how to do this at home. I believe that people want to live this way, they just don't know how to go about it. And that's the whole purpose of the show, to teach you how to do it. I'm going to show you the pathway to green living and organic cooking. Welcome to the Organic Rose. Welcome to the Organic Rose. Today is all about honey and sweet things that are good for you. I've got some nice extra virgin olive oil. Here's the secret ingredient, some delicious honey. A fresh lemon off the tree. Some garlic, of course. I just picked some basil. And this is bee pollen. And a lot of chefs talk about the crunch factor. This is the real crunch factor. So we're going to finish that salad up by sprinkling a little bit of this over the top. So let me get some heat going here. Get my saute pan warming up. And I'm going to add some olive oil to the pan. There we go. Nice fresh kale that I just picked from the garden. There we go. The cuts don't need to be precise or fancy. You know what I'm going to do first? I'm going to go ahead and, I've got this garlic here. I'm just going to do like a medium dice on it. Smelling pretty good, pretty good, pretty good. And then we're going to add the kale to the pan. We don't want to cook it all the way. We're just going to kind of wilt it. I'll turn the heat up a little bit on this. So right now I'm smelling green onion, I'm smelling garlic, and I'm smelling kale. Pinch of salt. So I use a mixture that I make myself. It's 50% sea salt, kosher sea salt, and 50% kosher salt. That's wilting nicely. I'm going to go ahead and cut the lemon. And we're going to squeeze the lemon onto the kale, but I'm going to squeeze the lemon through my fingers to trap any seeds that may come out. So this is the acidic component to the salad. That lemon is quite aromatic. Okay. Just kind of drizzle the honey in a bit. Come on, honey. There we go. So you're going to get a little bit of the sour profile from the lemon, and then you're going to get a contrasting sweetness from the honey. Come on, baby. That smells so good. All right. This is ready to plate up. Okay. So this is the consistency that you want it pretty much. You can serve it cold, you can serve it room temperature, you can serve it warm like it is now. Oh man, that smells good. Here we go. So I'm going to tear some of this basil and just put it right on top. And then some of the pollen for that crunch factor. Pollen has an interesting consistencies to it, but it's a little bit sweet, it's kind of soft, and it's also kind of crunchy. And there it is. I think I have to grab a fork and have a bite. That is so good. So this is an amazing salad, packed, chock full of vitamins, vitamin C, vitamin D, vitamin E, vitamin K. It's delicious. And it just has a little bit of olive oil, some wonderful sweet honey, some garlic, of course some basil leaves. And I put a little pinch of salt in and a crack of pepper. And over the top, we put in some of these little crunchies. That's the pollen from the bees. So I think I'm going to go take a ride out to Bees and Blooms and go see what these amazing creatures are capable of doing. Susan.
Steve.
Good to see you.
Good to see you.
Where are we at here?
We're in Santa Rosa on Petaluma Hill Road and at Bees and Blooms Farm.
What a beautiful place. I mean, what you've done here is amazing, and I don't know how long it's taken you to create this space, but it's an incredible space.
We've been here for 2.5 years.
Wow.
And we've been working pretty hard.
Oh, it
we don't
sure
sleep
looks like
much.
it.
And we've had some amazing help doing it. But we wanted to create a space for humans and for bees and for other pollinators. There's enough negativity around the controversy around what's hurting the bees.
There is.
And the one thing that everybody can agree on is that bees need lots of food, and it needs to be diverse, and it might as well be pretty for humans.
This labyrinth is amazing. I look around, I look at it, and I've never seen one this big before. Tell me a little bit, why did you do this? I mean...
Well, when we first arrived, we wanted to grow plants that were perennials, drought tolerant, and good for the pollinators. And we came upon lavender as a possibility. It was my husband's idea. And
so you're not going to take all the credit, right?
No, I'm not. No. There's so much work that's been done that's not mine around this farm. So we started looking at different ways to plant the lavender, and again, my husband says, what about a labyrinth? A lavender labyrinth. And so we started looking around for designs, and we needed something that was relatively straightforward to do because we had to mound up all of these circles that you see are mounded up mounds of soil, because lavender doesn't like to have its feet wet. And you have to get it out of anything that's soggy. And we have clay soil. It's not perfect soil for growing lavender unless you can make it drain.
Right.
So we needed something that was pretty easy to lay out. And we started with a stake in the center of the circle. And we marked out the different circles with a rope. We just took it out 30 feet for the first one, another 8 feet out for the next one, another 8 feet out for the next one. And you just walk around and put all the stakes in. And then we had our great backhoe operator, James, come and mound up the soil around the stakes. So he made these circles, and if you look at it from the air, like from a drone shot or from a satellite view, it looks perfect. And I don't know how we ended up doing that, or how James ended up doing that, but he really did a nice job of putting this all together. And then we had some help putting in the irrigation and making the pathways. And then I recruited my nephew to come and help plant lavender in December of 2016. So it takes about 3 years for the lavender to get its full size. This is about 2 years old now. And we spent 3 or 4 days planting 900 lavender plants. And the distance from, if you walk the entire path of the labyrinth, the distance is about a half a mile. And there's a website called the Labyrinth Locator that describes different labyrinths across the country. And we couldn't find one in California that was any bigger. So we think it's the biggest one, at least in California. There's a really, really nice one in Michigan that is bigger, but it's
out of lavender as well?
No.
Okay.
No, that one isn't. But we wanted it to be wide enough so that when the lavender got big, you could still walk side by side, two people. And we find that people love to do that. Many people come here with their friends. The kids, of course, if you're under 10, you have to run the labyrinth and see how fast you can do it. But a lot of people just like to walk with their friends. And because the labyrinth is a single path to the center, it's not like a maze. You don't have to find your way, but you just keep walking and you will end up in the center. It's used as a tool for meditation, for problem solving, actually. People do labyrinth workshops that use the labyrinth as a metaphor for your life, for learning about what you need to do to get past humps in your daily life.
So what plants are drought tolerant as well as attractive to bees?
Good plants for bees that are also drought tolerant include the salvias. Almost all of the salvias. There's a few that need more water, but a lot of them are very drought tolerant.
Okay.
Butterfly bush is excellent. Lavender, of course.
Right.
And then we also have a lot of asters, and the asters bloom in late fall or late summer. The bees, especially the native bees, are very attracted to those. We also have blazing star, or liatris, which is a tall spiky plant that's purple or white, and it's a Midwestern native, but it does quite well with very little water, and the bees just love it. It's also used as a good cut flower. And so a lot of what we grow down there are for cutting. That's one of our products that the farm sells. Other things that are easy to grow and relatively drought tolerant are the cosmos. They're just so beautiful, and there's lots of bees love them. Zinnias are also good. They like a little more water. Sunflowers do quite well. They will get big if you give them lots of water, but they still do fine with minimal water. Snapdragons are good for the carpenter bees and the bumblebees. The honeybees can't get into the flower, but the bumblebee sits on the lip of the snapdragon flower, and the weight of the bee opens it up, and so they can get in there to drink the nectar.
What about vegetables?
Let's see, bumblebees like tomatoes, and in fact, bumblebees are really essential for pollinating tomatoes. They do buzz pollination, so you'll hear the bumblebees in the tomato patch. They get on a flower and go zzz, next flower, zzz, and it shakes the pollen loose from the stamens and fertilizes the plant. Greenhouses that grow tomatoes rent or buy bumblebees commercially to pollinate in their greenhouses.
Inside the greenhouse?
Inside the greenhouse, yes.
Wow.
What else? Peppers are also good.
Okay.
They have a great bloom for bees. Squash. There are actual specialized bees that are called squash bees that love crawling around inside the squash blossoms, which are huge. And there's lots of nectar in there, lots of pollen in there. What else in terms of vegetables? Sesame. This was...
Really?
Yes. So a friend of mine who's a bee researcher said the bees love black sesame. So I ordered some black sesame seeds and planted them. We've got a few down there now. They have these beautiful purple bell-like flowers, and the bees love those too. Oh,
Excellent.
another great flower for bees that blooms almost all summer and into the fall is Gaillardia, or blanket flower. And again, it's a Midwestern native and fairly drought tolerant, and it's got sombrero-like, daisy-like flowers that are orange and yellow, concentric rings going out across the petals. So those are very nice.
pretty.
We've got some of those going. Other ones are, one of my favorites is Echium. Tower of Jewels is the common name for my favorite one, and it's a biennial, so it takes 2 years for it to bloom.
Okay.
And it makes this big cluster of rosette of leaves, and then in the spring of the second year, you get this tall spike out that's about, this big around at the bottom, and it gets like a big cone-shaped thing that's covered with peachy pink petals, and it's also covered with bees. They just love it, and it blooms for about a month and a half.
Well, I have to get
What
some
else?
Of those too.
There's more. We grow probably about 200 different varieties of plants, flowers on the property. We also grow tulips in the spring and daffodils. So.
Well, I have learned so much from you today. It's amazing. I mean, I knew a little bit about bees, but nothing like I know now, and hopefully I can pass that on to my friends and family and our viewers and that sort of thing, and we can be in the game.
All right. That sounds great.
Susan, thank you so much.
All right. Thanks, Steve.
What an amazing time I had today at Bees and Blooms. I learned a lot about the life of the bees, and they're some creatures that they're incredible. And the bees were everywhere, everywhere, everywhere. So she was able to gift me some honey, some of her honey. So we're going to do a dessert today. I've got a couple of fresh peaches off our tree. I've got this beautiful honey. We have some organic local butter. And I went ahead and toasted up a batch of granola. So what we're going to do is I'm going to go ahead and turn this saute pan on, get some fire under it, and we are going to add some honey to the pan. And you'll see as it hits the heat. Let's see if I can do this. Okay. It's going to thin out. Working with honey can be a sticky situation. So as that's thinning out, we're going to get some butter. A little more in there. So butter and honey, you think so? Yeah, I think so. How does it get better than that? Honey, butter, granola, and ice cream. So as I put the butter in, the honey was getting thin. Now it's going to get a little bit, come together a little bit tighter. Okay. While that's warming up, so you can see that. While that's warming up, we're going to go ahead and quarter these peaches. So just, you spin that peach right around the knife. Look at how easy that is. This is going to go into the compost. Keeping an eye on that honey. Go ahead and split this again the other way. Nice. You can see that There's a little bit of brown in there, which is great because that means that the peach is ripe and ready to eat and enjoy. Time to set these in here. The peach juice is making a little bit of a sizzle. Pan's not hot yet. And just because I can, I'm going to add some fresh black pepper to it. Just because I can. What that's going to do, it's going to give you a little bit of a backbite. The pepper's going to give it a little bit of a backbite. Okay. So these peaches are getting nicely coated with the honey and butter mix. Oh, that's good. The peaches, they're going to absorb a little bit of the honey and butter, but it's also going to coat the peaches, and the mixture is going to give the peaches a nice sheen for the dish. That smells delicious. So let's go ahead and we'll get some of the granola. Grab a spoon here. This has oats in it, raisins, some dried apricots, some fresh walnuts. Let's put the butter over here. Okay, next, vanilla ice cream. And you can see this is actually a vanilla bean ice cream, so you can see little flecks of the actual vanilla beans in there, so it's the real deal. Okay, these are done. They're nicely coated. Okay. And go ahead and scoop some of this. Now, we're going to take a spoon and just go ahead and spoon some of these warmed peaches right over the top of the ice cream and granola. Honey butter sauce over the top. So let's kind of recap it a little bit. We have organic butter and some local honey. We've got some fresh peaches, some vanilla bean ice cream, and granola. You know what? I think I'm going to have a bite of it. So when you're buying honey for this dessert or any dessert or your coffee or your tea, what have you, make sure that it's local honey. Make sure that it's the real deal, because there are some factories out there around the world that are just fabricating honey and it's not the real deal. So you can get it at your local farmers markets. You get a chance to talk to the beekeepers and just, yeah, make sure that you get the real stuff because it's so important. I'm gonna have one more bite. It'll be that day. It's so good. Forget about it. I'll catch you next time on the Organic Rose. Next time on the Organic Rose, we close up season 3 with a recap of our favorite episodes.